A striking scene unfolds on a cold December day in Beijing, where despite snow blanketing the streets, a bustling crowd gathers outside the US Embassy. Large numbers of people are eager to obtain US visas, a curious sight given the frequent official criticism of the US for being bad or dangerous. Why is there such a high demand to go to America? A popular saying on Chinese internet goes, "Going against America is my job, but going to America is my life." It refers to some individuals who verbally criticize the US but choose to work, live, and even settle their families there. This contradiction raises questions. Observers believe the surge in Chinese seeking to immigrate stems mainly from China's worsening economic situation, increasingly challenging living conditions, and regressing political environment. Many believe that China is no longer a suitable place to live. Indeed, China is grappling with numerous economic challenges, from fierce competition in the job market to skyrocketing living costs. These difficulties are driving many people to seek new opportunities in the US, hoping to escape the hardships of life in China. So, what is it so difficult about living in China? The high cost of housing remains one of the most pressing concerns in Chinese society and a significant point of contention. In top-tier and some second-tier cities, exorbitant house prices have become a considerable economic burden for ordinary families. For example, in Shanghai, the price per square meter is about 59,000 yuan, and in Beijing, it's even higher at 73,000 yuan. A house often costs millions of yuan, making home ownership an unattainable dream for many young people. Even if they opt for mortgages, the substantial monthly repayments add immense pressure to their lives. Another major challenge is employment pressure. With the economic structure evolving and the job market constantly changing, employment stress in China is escalating. Graduates entering the workforce face stiff competition, and securing a stable job has become exceedingly difficult. A Chinese university graduate told foreign media that after graduating in June 2022, he had not found a suitable job until mid-2023. Mornings began with sending out resumes, engaging in over 500 communications with employers per month, and submitting more than 70 applications, most of which went unanswered. This frustrating experience is common, leading many university students or even younger children to seek opportunities to study in the US, while older Chinese individuals also consider this path. For them, obtaining the US visa and studying there opens up opportunities to work and pursue broader career prospects. Regarding employment issues, even middle-aged professionals in China face the threat of unemployment. Worse still, due to the faltering economic recovery post-COVID-19 and slowed economic growth, many companies affected by the Communist Party's zero-COVID policy over the past 3 years are now striving to reduce labor costs. Consequently, unemployment has become a widespread and significant problem. In June this year, the unemployment rate among young people aged 16 to 24 reached a staggering 21%, a figure so dismal that the Chinese Communist Party opted to temporarily stop publishing unemployment data. The third major challenge for Chinese people is the cost of education, which is also a significant expense for many families. For Chinese parents, education is of utmost importance. Due to limited high-quality educational resources in China, competition is fierce. Besides tuition fees, additional expenses for tutoring and training courses add to the financial burden. Parents are compelled to spend more to ensure their children receive a better education. In contrast to China, the United States boasts excellent educational resources, one of the many reasons why many Chinese people favor immigrating there. In the US, there is a wide network of public schools providing free or relatively low-cost education to its citizens. Ordinary families can send their children to local public schools, alleviating the burden of tuition fees. Living in China presents another significant challenge: healthcare. Chinese netizens express concerns about the high cost of medical treatment, with a significant portion of the expenses attributed to conducting various medical tests, often repeated multiple times. This raises questions about the effectiveness of the healthcare system if even minor elements such as flu become unaffordable. Despite being self-sustaining, public hospitals previously received government subsidies, leading to queries about the allocation of these funds. Another growing issue in China is elderly care. Especially as the society ages, many families must consider accumulating retirement funds for purchasing commercial insurance. This added to the already growing family financial pressure. Paying into a pension system is a major burden, and the national pension fund deficit is making many Chinese anxious. On March 8, 2011, National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference member Zhang Yunling revealed at the two sessions that China's pension fund was in a deficit of 1.6 trillion yuan. She emphasized the need for unconventional measures to accelerate the accumulation of the National Social Security Fund. This statement openly acknowledged China's pension crisis. Analysts predict that in the next decade, China will face its largest ever wave of retirements, with the post-60s generation retiring at a rate of 20 million people per year. Low pension levels, inadequate medical insurance reimbursements, and other issues are forcing some families to save extra funds for emergencies. China's social welfare crisis is growing by the day. Overall, China's social security is severely lacking, and its citizens face increasing pressures. In contrast, the US has a relatively comprehensive social security system offering more benefits and protections to its citizens. The American healthcare system, unemployment insurance, and social assistance are well established, providing more security for individuals and families. Thus, the US becomes the ultimate destination for countless Chinese people seeking to expand their horizons through immigration. Of course, the US has its imperfections, but compared to China's oppressive regime lacking in freedom and democracy, it appears significantly more favorable. This explains why, despite freezing conditions, people queue for visas, seeing the US as a potential turning point in changing their destinies. Meanwhile, due to economic downturns, entrepreneurs and investors are also looking to the US for business opportunities and financial investments, further increasing visas demand. Some even resort to risking illegal entry into the US. The strict zero-COVID policy, sluggish economic growth, and oppressive political climate in China since the pandemic have left many feeling suffocated. Zhang Jun, a 50-year-old from Xi'an, questions why so many want to leave China, citing the extreme difficulty of survival. A former state-owned enterprise worker, Zhang experienced unemployment in the 1990s and unsuccessfully petitioned various government levels. After being detained for 15 days, he lost faith in the government, deciding to stop appealing. Post-unemployment, he tried various jobs, but struggled financially, especially during the pandemic. Zhang thought to himself, if I can't afford to confront you, I can avoid you. Zhang, borrowing 120,000 yuan from a friend, chose the path of run to America, or otherwise known as runmei. In China, he felt that everything revolved around money, without which there was no social status, leading to discrimination against low-income individuals. He felt the society had become distorted, unfair and chaotic, unsuitable for living, and lacking in human rights. In contrast, he believes that in America, even unskilled workers like him doing basic jobs like waiting tables, massage, or supermarket cashiering aren't ridiculed. He appreciates this quality of life. Zhang thinks that although the Chinese government is using various means to prevent immigration, the number of Chinese people choosing to runmei will continue to rise. If China's doors were fully open, he estimates that half of the population would move to the US. Ke Di, a refugee who escaped to the United States, cited the long-term oppressive social and media environment in China as a key reason for his departure. He mentioned a friend in Shanghai who was questioned by police after sharing a post about the human trafficking chained woman incident. Another friend involved in computer-related work and selling VPN software used in China for circumventing the internet firewall was also interrogated by the police. The authorities demanded customer information and threatened to commit him to a psychiatric hospital if he refused to comply. Ke Di said that such incidents made him realize how terrifying it is to live in the lack of freedom in China. Before the pandemic, Ke Di, a vocational school graduate, had a decent income of over 5,000 yuan per month. However, the economic downturn in China worsened by the pandemic led to his forced resignation. He and a colleague opened a snack shop, which unfortunately closed within a year. After failing to secure suitable employment elsewhere, Ke Di decided to leave China in pursuit of a better life. The trend of fleeing China appears to be growing, with an increasing number of people settling abroad. After the end of the pandemic restrictions, the demand for US visas surged. At the beginning of the year, netizens reported excessively long queues at some visa centers in Beijing and Shanghai. Applicants shared photos of long lines at Philippine embassies in Beijing and in the US Embassy, with US visa centers in some areas booked 7 months ahead. Not everyone applying for visas may successfully obtain them, leading to a rise in illegal migration to the US. According to the US Customs data, over 4,000 runmei Chinese were arrested by the Border Patrol in September, a 70% increase from the previous month. In the first 3 quarters of the year, over 22,000 Chinese entered the US illegally, almost 13 times the number in the same period last year. Post-pandemic Chinese wealth migration has accelerated, with many relocating to Singapore, attracted by its low tax rates and quality education and anxious about China's direction under Xi Jinping's leadership. Singapore's government does not publish nationality data of new residents, but senior immigration consultants reveal that Chinese nationals make up a significant and growing portion of those seeking residencies. A 42-year-old woman from Shanghai, along with her 14-year-old daughter, moved to Singapore. Over the past few years, she and her husband grew increasingly dissatisfied with China's academic environment, feeling it had become less open and dynamic. Chinese officials discouraged the use of Western textbooks at their daughter's international school, prompting their decision to educate her abroad. New World Wealth predicted that following the net migration of 18,000 wealthy individuals in 2022, about 125,000 individuals with a net worth of over 1 million would migrate in 2023, breaking the 2019 record of 110,000. Chinese citizens typically comprise of 8 to 10% of the total migration, as tracked in a New World Wealth database monitoring around 150,000 individuals. Immigration consultants note another reason for Chinese moving abroad is financial safety concerns. Recent years have seen many incidents involving Chinese wealthy individuals, making them feel insecure about keeping their money in China. Following continuous financial crisis among Chinese real estate firms and financial exhaustion of local governments, the Chinese government targeted the wealthy for revenue. Private entrepreneurs and executives became vulnerable to exploitation. It was rumored that those with assets over 30 million yuan were subject to tax investigation and extortion. A Shanghai factory owner revealed that officials through bank scrutinized wealthy individuals with over 30 million yuan in liquid assets, demanding 20% of their wealth or facing stringent tax inspections. An American-Chinese entrepreneur, Hu Liren, said that the Chinese government's financial extortion of the wealthy is now open and widespread. He noted that 30 million yuan is not necessarily wealthy in China's affluent eastern regions such as Shanghai and Zhejiang. Some districts would have over 20 to 30 of these wealthy individuals in each. Many businesses are linked to the government and engage in tax evasion or avoidance. He asserted that the government could easily target these individuals using any pretext to nationalize their wealth. Wealthy individuals also see Xi Jinping's promotion of common prosperity and the emphasis on redistribution as a threat to their wealth being managed in places such as Hong Kong. Thus, Singapore has become a preferred destination for migration. Singapore's proximity to China and comprehensive financial transfer mechanisms are appealing. Now, it's not just the wealthy, but also well-educated individuals choosing to migrate overseas. While immigration itself is not inherently negative, this latest wave occurs amidst China's economic slowdown, rising nationalism in Beijing, and a decline in the birth rate posing a challenge for the Chinese government. Additionally, the increase in net migration reflects a significant decrease in foreign immigrants to China. According to official data, the number of foreign residents in Shanghai and Beijing in 2020 was only 163,954 and 62,812, respectively, down 21% and 42% from 2010. Although the pandemic was a primary reason for foreigners leaving China, considering the growth geopolitical tensions between China and the West, slowing economic growth, and the rising risk of detention and investigation for foreigners in China, this trend is likely to continue. The Chinese government's focus on national security and control over its citizens rather than economic growth is leading many Chinese and foreigners to consider leaving China.